Welcome back to Living Local. It is Thirsty Thursday, and we are joined by Rich Nunez, and he is the owner of Radicle Effect Brewerks. Thank you so much for being here, Rich.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, so what is the history? What's the story behind Radicle Effect Brewerks here in Rock Island?
I've been fascinated with brewing and the beer world since, fresh out of high school. So I mean, it's one of those things that I just wanted to progress into. I knew I wanted to open a business at one point in time in my life, but I didn't know exactly what. But then when I discovered craft beer and realized there was some science behind it, that's kind of what the driving force was.
Yeah, first of all, what's the difference between regular beer and craft beer?
Mainly, well, I mean, if you think of regular beer, you think of, Buds and Millers of the world, and they use a lot of what they call adjuncts, so like corn and rice, where in the craft beer world, you really just focus on using malted barley and, yeast, hops, and water.
Right, so and they're also made probably in smaller batches too.
They are.
Definitely. So you mentioned science being a huge love of yours, and that's kind of what drew you into the brewing process. So walk us through the science behind what it's like to go from the raw ingredients to the finished product.
Okay, so you take your malted barley, which is a very starchy substance, and then you grind it up, you add it to water at a specific temperature range and pH range to activate enzymes that are already present within that grain. And then those enzymes actually break down starch molecules into simple sugar molecules, which will be used later on by the yeast. Then, once you have that sweet, syrupy liquid, then you strip that liquid away from the raw materials. You boil that liquid, you add your hops, you cool it down, add oxygen, and add it to what they call a fermenting vessel. And that's where you add your yeast. And the yeast is going to feed off the sugars and create alcohol. Usually it takes about a week, and then there's about 3 weeks of maturization.
And you were telling me that educating people that walk in to your brewery is very important to you. Why is it so important?
Because there's so many different styles out there, and a lot of people tend to gravitate towards the things that are just really popular at the time,
Right.
but there are hundreds of styles out there. And so we like to give a little bit of education to the people that are walking in to, they may have not thought about this style before, even knew it existed, and that's where we come into play and just teach them a little bit about it.
Great. So you brought a couple selections in today. Walk me through them.
Okay, so we have Crisis of Identity.
Crisis of Identity. I love the name of that.
It's kind of a crossbreed sour, so between a Gose, which is a salt-based sour out of Germany originally, and then also a Berliner Weiss, here again, also a German-style beer. And so we kind of blended the two styles together. So there's a little coriander, a little salt.
All right.
Little,
pour me a little sample
little
there,
lime
Rich.
zest.
All right, we'll take a little sample of this.
3.5% alcohol content, very light, very summery drink.
Oh my gosh. That is so easy to drink. Absolutely. So I could definitely see myself on a patio in the summer. So you guys going to bring this back for the summer?
I'm hoping so, yeah.
Okay, that'd be awesome. I can definitely taste that hint of lime and salt. It almost reminds me of like a margarita in beer form or something. I love it.
I like
okay,
that.
what about the other selection?
Okay, so this one's called Spice. We haven't made this one in for a couple of years, but it's kind of our take on, a holiday spiced beer.
Yeah.
So it actually has like about 10 different spices in it. Everything from like cinnamon, a couple different mustard seeds, cardamom, a wide array of different things that you wouldn't think that would go into making a beer, and actually giving it that kind of like Christmassy kind of holiday spirits.
Yeah, I love that. That sounds so unique. So these are quite different. You got the fruity, you got the spicy. Okay, we'll try this one. Tastes like Christmas. Oh, I love it, Rich. That's so, so good. So what do you think makes Radicle Effect Brewerks kind of unique?
For the most part, I think it's the clientele and the staff. The staff that really just, their main focus is to ensure that the customers that walk in the door get some sort of knowledge when they walk in about different beer styles. And of course, the eclectic crowd that we have and the eclectic music that always plays.
Oh, so you have music that plays too?
Yes, not live music.
Okay, but just like the music that you have on in the atmosphere.
Everyone that comes in, has their own style of music. So it's a very relaxed energy and relaxed environment. And I think that's due in part to the awesome staff that I have, and as well as the people that choose to hang out there.
So in addition to the beer and the great atmosphere, you also do Bloody Marys and other types of drinks. So.
Yes, we also have basically a full bar, so mixed drinks for the people that don't like beer or haven't found that beer yet, and that's where we still come into play.
Right.
So there are mixed drinks, and yes, our Bloody Marys are pretty, Quad City famous for being one of the better ones in the Quad Cities, personally.
Very cool. Rich, how did you come up with the name Radicle Effect Brewerks?
Well, Radicle Effect was one of those things. We originally had a name called Against the Grain, and there was another brewery in Louisville, Kentucky, same name, awesome people. I've met the owners. We have a good working relationship, but so we had to back away from using that name. So we wanted to stay within that same kind of context of, you know, Against the Grain. So with, you know, with the symbol here, as you can see, the logo, Radicle is actually, the way it's spelled is not a misspelling. It's in reference to the initial root that grows from a seed. It's called the radicle. And then from that, you have effect, which is an antonym to the word radical. So you have cause and effect. So the root system, and then the barley plant that grows from it. So, and if you think of the other term radical, the other spelling of it, you might think of someone that goes against the grain.
Right. Oh, okay. So there's a lot of components to the name that you created. I love that. It's really interesting. Rich, if I walked into Radicle Effect Brewerks and I know nothing about beer, I don't know what I like, I don't even know if I like beer or not, I walk in there, how would you help me find something that I like?
One of the first questions that we ask is, tell us a little bit about your taste buds. What do you normally like to drink? And even if it's not beer, it might be a fruity drink, because there are fruity beers out there as well. So,
right, like the Crisis of Identity has a little bit of fruit to it.
We try to find those components just based off of, you know, small talk that will at least help us to find something that more than likely will become a great experience for you versus just ordering a beer because you're sitting there with your friends and you don't know what to order, but you're going to order something anyway, and you're going to sit at the table, and then 30 minutes later, you've drank about 2 sips out of it, and you're not enjoying yourself. So that's really what we want to know about your taste buds, so that we can ensure that you're going to have an enjoyable drink and an enjoyable time.
It really sounds like it's more than just going to grab a drink. It's kind of an experience.
It should be an experience.
Yeah, I agree completely. Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much, Rich.
It's like this is an experience.
Yes, it's all an experience. Well, cheers to you, Rich. Boom. We appreciate having you on the show. And if you like some more details, we'll have those posted on ourquadcities.com. Stick around. More Living Local is coming up next.